This is the XFL. Remember that? 2001, the XFL came and went. Gone in a flash, gone with the wind, gone in a blink of an eye. Now, 2020, specifically January of 2020, the XFL will return, as it was confirmed by WWE Chairman Vince McMahon that, yes, the $100 million that he took out in terms of his ownership stock in the WWE, in terms of his shares that he sold or however he did it, Vince McMahon is a complex man, and it's a complex business, and I'm very happy to hear this news. I had heard that this was in the rumblings. You know, we've heard that this was in the rumblings for the last few years. So the fact that this is actually coming to fruition now, I think is very good. I think that this is going to be awesome. So I want to give you, my take on it and kind of take some snippets that I took from the press conference that I really, really, really enjoyed, in the 25-minute or so press conference. So the league will start, as I mentioned, in January of 2020. There will be 8 teams, a 10-week schedule. Vince McMahon was quoted as saying, every city is on our radar. Also saying what they want, how they want it, meaning the fans. They'll get what they want and how they want it. Multi-platform distribution. We'll be able to watch an XFL game on TV, on our mobile devices, on our laptops, on our tablets. It'll be very interesting to see what network gets behind this, because last time NBC got behind this and it failed miserably. So it only lasted one season. So what network will get behind this? Will it be, one of the major networks like, NBC or CBS or ABC? Probably not. I would anticipate that it could be like a USA or a TNT or something like that, which is one of the, big networks out there, but not one of the main 3 networks. There'll be 40-man rosters, and something that I found very interesting in the press conference was that he said it would be a 2-hour game time total. That's what their goal is. They don't want long game times. They don't want halftime. They want a straight-out, played-through game, in a 2-hour game total. Any player with a precluded record prohibited from playing. So even if you have a DUI, you will not play in the XFL, according to Vince McMahon. Players won't receive forum to take personal stance on social issues on the playing field. I thought Vince McMahon's quote about this was perfect. He said players have a wide variety of ways to voice their opinion, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it may be. Players have a wide variety of ways to voice their opinions. People that are watching the sport of football don't necessarily want to hear any of those, social issue stances in the midst of the game. Every player will stand for the national anthem. Vince McMahon's response to this, I can kind of just wrap it up and put it in short, basically stating that the national anthem has been a part of our game for many, many years, and he feels that it's right to stand for the anthem. It's the right thing to do, and I agree. So this league, is, for all the right reasons so far, looks to be getting off on the right foot, as opposed to the last time that this league, was in existence. I took to Facebook and asked some of the avid Thomas Take listeners to send me some of their questions. Let me know, what questions you guys have. And obviously I got quite a few. So in terms of this, all of them coming from Eric Van Wyck, who has been listening to the show since it started. So Eric Van Wyck said, just saw breaking news that Vince McMahon made it official that the XFL is coming back in 2020. Do you think that it could ever have a chance to compete with the NFL? I'm going to put it to you this way, Eric. I really feel that rather than pigeonholing this league already and putting it in, not that you're doing that, but just in the thought process, rather than putting it in those terms of having the league compete with the National Football League, I want to put it in the terms of, why don't they try to be as polar opposite as the NFL, become a polar opposite, compared to the NFL, but bring the fans something that they don't get with the NFL. And I'm going to use a different analogy for you in the sport of mixed martial arts. You look at the landscape of mixed martial arts right now, you have the UFC, you have Bellator. UFC has been the major organization in mixed martial arts for the last 10, 15 years now. Bellator, fairly new, around 10 years old, which is pretty young for a MMA organization, but it's actually even younger than that. Under the direction of the current president, Scott Coker, it's about 3 years old. So realistically, Bellator is as brand new as anything in the sport of mixed martial arts right now, and they're really trying to get off on the right foot, but try to differentiate from the NFL. That way, fans, avid fans like myself of MMA, can get two different flavors rather than just one, even two different variations of the sport. And that's what I think the XFL is going to bring. So in that regard, I think they will be able to compete with the NFL. Obviously, will they draw ratings like the NFL can? Well, right now, the NFL is at an all-time low, 30-year low, actually, for ratings. So this actually comes at a perfect time. Eric Van Wyck also asked, do you think anybody would take the chance and jump from the NFL to the XFL? Or is it going to be a bunch of scrubs and cast-offs like the last time XFL was around? I think that there'll be players that are going to come over that are former NFL players that might have been written out of the league. Guys like maybe, Tim Tebow. Maybe, Tim Tebow's doing his baseball thing. He's doing the Today Show. Maybe he won't, dip his toes into this water. But, it was mentioned that guys with a criminal past won't be in the league. So that, raises a huge question mark in my eyes in terms of Johnny Manziel. Will he get that opportunity? I think Johnny Manziel will probably go to the CFL. And then obviously Colin Kaepernick, a guy that used the NFL as a forum to state his opinion on social issues, right or wrong, agree, disagree. The XFL, is stating that they have no place for that. That is written in their rule book that players can use their own personal avenues to take, whether it's their Twitter account or their Facebook to do things like that, rather than in the confines of the league. And I agree with that. We live in a really awesome time where you're actually able to put your opinions out there and have people comment on it or react to it. And Colin Kaepernick can always be a voice. He already is a voice for a lot of people out there, and he didn't really need the NFL as a launching pad to do that. So I think that they will get players that might not be given the most playing time in the NFL. They might get players that are maybe second or third string NFL players. But I definitely think that they're going to hold open tryouts for every team. Really, the big question is, what cities will this be in? What cities will host XFL teams? And I want to let it be known, right here, right now. I really hope that the city of Buffalo gets an XFL team. That would be awesome. That would be great. So I look at the past. You go back to the past. The first week of ratings for the XFL were ridiculously high. They were really, really high. Last time they also held their own draft. Will they do that again? Who knows, really? But that's definitely something that will have to be looked at. Definitely have to be looked at in terms of what players will become available for these teams. I'm looking at right now, actually. I'm looking at just in terms of the cities: Los Angeles, Birmingham, Memphis, Orlando, Las Vegas, San Francisco, New York, New Jersey, and Chicago, with the eight cities. Vince McMahon was asked, will they be the same cities? Will they try to go back into the same markets? Will they try to go into markets with football in their town already? And Vince basically said, we're going to do whatever it takes to provide this league with the best sports cities possible. Every city is on their radar. I really think that this is actually going to work. I might probably be one of the few people that actually think that this can last and that this can work. And what I mean by that is the last go around, this league only lasted one season. Where, given the stance that Vince McMahon has taken, which many people see as a positive rather than a negative, there's the average football consumer. They say, well, we don't want to have our children follow or look up to players that have criminal pasts. And according to Vince McMahon, that will not happen. We won't see players with a criminal record in the XFL. How far that will go or how long that'll last remains to be seen. But to say the least, I really think that this is an interesting stance for Vince McMahon to initially set this league up and say, well, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it, and take it or leave it, pretty much. Very interesting strategy. But if I were to take a guess in terms of what cities would make sense, they would be cities with football stadiums already. So football cities already. If you were going to do like an East Conference, I would do Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland, Philly, 4 teams in the East. And then in the West, you'd have LA, San Fran, maybe maybe like a Denver team and then maybe a San Francisco team. Just big cities mixed with small cities. I think that would be highly beneficial for the XFL. That's just me spitballing. That's just a guess. I'm not, obviously I don't know what cities they're going to target or what cities will be even be interested. But to say the least, I think that this is a really, really good. I mean, one thing that I wrote down that was kind of like my, writing about this that I had a thought of. In a way, Vince McMahon can be credited for a lot of things. He's probably the world's best promoter. He's promoted a quote-unquote fake product for the last 30, 40 years. And people still buy into it. People still watch WrestleMania every year. People still watch SummerSlam. People still watch the Royal Rumble. And then weekly, obviously, the telecast of Raw and SmackDown is huge. They just celebrated their 25th anniversary. He's a highly, highly intelligent, successful businessman. He knows how to create a business model for entertainment. And in a way, he's a visionary in that the XFL was somewhat too stupid for 2001, but for 2020, it's just right. Because think about what has changed from now until, from 2001 up until now. We have so much ability for multi-platform, crossover stuff. We can watch Netflix on our phones. We can watch Netflix on our tablets. We can watch Netflix on our laptops. We can stream. This is what I'm doing right now. I started this podcast 2 years ago. I have a site in which I can record and stream live a podcast that people can listen to, and it will be saved in the YouTube library forever unless I delete it. That's pretty cool. So we have a lot of new innovative technology that we can use at our disposal, and I'm sure that the XFL will come up with new ways to be innovative and creative. A lot of the things that the NFL currently has, like the Skycam and things like that, the mic'd up players, is something that the XFL actually created. So I'm sure that they'll come up with new innovative ways to telecast the games and provide an exciting new avenue for the fans of football. Really, this is a football drunk nation. We have football from basically, the NFL season, September to February. But even when the football season isn't going on, people are still talking about it. We got the draft, we got free agency, we got training camp, we got the preseason and the season. So there's 7 months there without football, from February to September. Or February to August, I guess you could say, in terms of preseason. So to have some filler there with the XFL for at least 10 weeks, I'm all for it. I will support it, and I will continue to state that I want the XFL in Buffalo. I would really hope to have an XFL team in Buffalo. So we'll be right back. That was part 1 of today's show, the morning show of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I'm Ryan Thomas. We'll be right back.